Hi there, it's Aaron from Lazer, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install our brand new Defender roof pods. Included in the kit for the roof pods, you've got the actual pod itself, the left and right side, and also some placement guides. The roof pods are designed to house our Linear 12 series of lamp that comes in standard, elite and elite with PL, and today we're going to be putting the elite with PLs in, including the wiring. So without further ado, let's get on with the job. Okay, so the first thing is to place our location guides on the roof of the vehicle. You'll see on the location guides that these are numbered 1 and 2, and they've also got an indication arrow which should point to the outside of the vehicle. Next thing to do is to attach the lamps to the roof pod itself. These are held in place with 2 M6 screws which are included. We will adjust the angle of the lights once it's mounted onto the roof of the vehicle. The next thing to do is to put our sealant onto the base of the roof pod. You need to be quite generous with this. You may want to go around for a second time with the sealant just to make sure that it is risen above the lip of the pod. And once you've put it all in place, the next step is going to be removing the backing of the VHB pads. The VHB pads purely keep the pod in place while the sealant is drying. Okay, so next thing is to place the roof pod onto the roof. The pod needs to have this side of the pod lining up with this side of the guide. Be sure to push down firmly on the pod. Don't worry about any of the escaping sealant. This will be covered by the roof pod when we put the cover over the top on the last step. Next thing we're going to want to do is adjust the angle of the light. We want to try and get this as close to as 90 degrees as possible. You can see on screen here I'm using a digital protractor, but you can also use a spirit level. Okay, so we've positioned our roof pods onto the roof of the Defender. While the sealant is curing, or part curing, I'm going to get on with the wiring. So we've got 3 things that we need to do for the wiring. We have a live, which has to be connected off of our jump point here. We also have an earth, which has to be connected. You can either use the original earthing point, which is just down here, or what I've done is earthed it on the top of the strut. The next thing for that is going to be our high beam. Now, the high beam on the Defender does differ between the model variant. If you've got LED headlights like our one, you may be able to find a 12-volt high beam on the back of the headlight, and what that means is that you've got a wire that goes to 12 volts when the high beam is active, and it will then drop down to 0 when the high beam has been deactivated. On some of the new Defenders, especially if it's got matrix LED headlights or auto high beam, you will need a CAN interface for that because the signal at the back of the headlight will not be there. For instructions on how to install a CAN interface, we will have a download section on the product page for the roof pods for the Defender. So on our Defender, I've managed to find the high beam trigger wire on the back of the right hand side headlight plug. Our wire colour was a purple with an orange trace, but I would always recommend that you test with a digital multimeter rather than just going by what we found with ours, because some vehicles will change depending on what country you're in. So next thing to do is run our extension cable up to the pod itself, plugging in the extension cable here and then running it up the A pillar. You'll be able to see on screen now how to remove the A pillar. You'll see that we are using a 3-core extension cable because, as I said at the beginning, we are using the Linear 12 Elites with PL. That's position light, or if you're in America, backlight. Once you get the extension cable up to the top of the car, you then need to plug the cable into your lamp and then tidy up the wiring inside the pod. Next thing we're going to want to do is put the rubber seal trim on the pod, which can be shown here. It literally just pushes into place. It just creates a nice seal around the pod and the roof. Lastly, what you want to do is screw on the pod cover. Okay, so that's the installation complete of the roof pods onto our Defender. Really hope you like the look of them. One thing to mention is that if you do want to step it up a little bit with customization, you can actually paint the covers on the roof pods. So if you want to go for like the body color like we have here with our Defender, you can do. Or if you want to go for, you know, a different color altogether, that's entirely up to you. There will be a downloaded instruction on our website on how to remove the pods. So if you decide that you're going to sell the car or you no longer want the pods on your car, this will be available. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video.